Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Unscripted. Today is January 18th, and the Michigan State Spartans have just taken down the Minnesota Golden Gophers 76-66 at the Breslin Center. It was a fun one. I was in attendance for the first time this season, or second time this season, first time in the I-Zone. Great atmosphere as always. Always love going to games at the Brez. It's a real magical place. Johnny, I'll start with you on this one as usual. What stood out to you from tonight's game? Um, yeah.
Well, they got the win, right? And I think it was two different halves. Obviously only being up three, no, up five at the half, uh, didn't feel right. It was dominated the first half, different than what we're used to seeing. But then the second half was a little different. Minnesota really took it inside, and we saw a lot of foul shots. The first thing that really jumped to my eye when I looked was both teams shot almost 20 foul shots in the second half. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But that's a lot. But when it came down to it, Tyson Walker, it didn't feel like he was doing too much, right? He didn't have a lot of volume today, but when it matters most, right, and that's what you want, he takes over. But Malik Hall obviously very dominant. He had a tough matchup. Everyone had a tough matchup as Dawson Garcia, but Hall showed up, and everyone, so the supporting cast did their job. Trey had another pretty good game with 8 points, and yeah, they found a way to get a must win game.
Yeah, it really was a must-win game. And like you said, tale of two halves really. And it was a little bit different than what we're used to seeing. I thought Michigan State got off to a pretty solid start on the offensive end. Um, I thought they did a good job pushing the pace tonight. I thought tonight they looked a lot more like a Tom Izzo coached basketball team uh than they had in the past couple games prior to this one. They were pushing the pace, they were rebounding, um they were running more sets. We were talking about that in the last show. The low assist numbers and too much ISO ball. Well, tonight they had it was 13 assists on 17 made baskets in the first half. And I forgot to write down the one at the last number, but I think it was 20 assists on 29 made buckets for Michigan State, if I'm remembering correctly. So yeah, that was a lot. That was really good to see. It was really a story of two halves for the two guys who stood out most tonight with Walker and Hall. Walker had only 8 points at half, and Hall had six before, and then Walker finished with 21. And then Malik with the double double 16, 12, and throwing in four assists. I thought Malik called like you said, really tough matchup, but he really did a good job handling Dawson Garcia and getting to his spots and making his jumpers. But yeah, it was good to see everything tonight from Michigan State. Another thing that we've talked about on this show is their inability to close out games late in the second half. And tonight, Minnesota really was doing a good job of hanging around. Credit to them. They hung around the whole first half and for them, probably the first 15 minutes of the second half. And then, really, in the last 5 minutes, like you said, it was Tyson Walker really taking over and making his presence felt on helping the Spartans pull away.
Yeah, and you got to give credit to that Minnesota team. They're a tough out in the Big Ten, and being without their starting point guard, who Elijah Hawkins leading the country in assists. I wasn't really sure what to expect from them, but they showed up. Dawson Garcia finished with 22. Mitchell had a great game with 14. But going back to the matchup, and you look at a Garcia, 22 points, you think, great game. But yeah, I think Malik did a great job, and when the bigs were on, and he was 6 of 17 from the field. That's a big difference. He was 9 of 12 from the foul line, which we couldn't really keep him away there. But that was the flow of the game, how it was on both ends. But like we said, Walker and Hall really stepped up. Uh, Hogard finished with 7 assists. That's what we like to see when that ball's moving, right? I just think we saw a lot of time, a lot of running. Great find. He had a great find to Cooper in that first half for a dunk, and we saw Minnesota try a little zone here or there, and got some good looks right away, a couple dunks, but just overall, you just have to be happy coming out with a win.
Yeah, and something I forgot to mention, a shout out to Malik Hall. He reached 1,000 points, or 1,000 career points on his posterizing dunk in the second half. I mean, he had 7 points in the first 4 minutes of the second half. He had a corner three and then had that dunk and really got the crowd into it. You brought up Mike Mitchell Jr. I wrote it down at one point. He had 14. He finished with 14. I didn't see what he finished with.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down. Yeah,
Okay, so did you write down his field goals?
he was 3 of 9 from three. I did not write the rest.
So I wrote down at one point, I thought he was having a nice game. He had 14 points on 5 of 7 shooting at the 12-minute mark in the second half. He then airballed a three and literally hurt it every single time he touched the ball. I know the Izzone is famous for stuff like that, but it was loud. They were not letting him go. Not letting Mike Mitchell forget about that air ball. Yeah, and the free throw shooting I wanted to touch on for Michigan State, it's got to be better. That game probably should not have been as close as it was. They were gating to the line, which has been a problem this season, and then converting has been a problem. So when you get to the line, you just have to make make your free throws. I mean, it's simple. But yeah, I thought they looked like a lot more of a classic Tom Izzo coach team, and I thought tonight was pretty encouraging overall.
Yeah, and going back to the crowd and Mitchell, Cam Christie definitely heard it from the crowd, right? Fouling out, he was in foul trouble the whole night. He probably would not have liked that one, but
No, he was getting it. The
yeah,
Izzone was laying into him for sure.
yeah, it's how it is. But just going over the game script, but only one that really sticks out to me is Akins not having the best shooting night. 5 of 14 from the field. It's a lot of attempts and 0 of 5 from three. A lot of good looks. Not too worried about it. Just I just try to tell him to keep shooting because when he's open, right, he's the catch and shoot guy we need on this team. Uh, that's what we need. So I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah, I thought Aikens got a lot of good looks, and he'll start to hit them. They'll start to fall. I agree with you. I'm not worried on that. So yeah, I don't really have any more else for the Minnesota game. You got anything else?
No, I think I covered everything. Just one other thing that was great to see was the turnover battle, right? They had 19 to our 4, so a lot of that's a great statistic to have, right, with an Izzo team. But
Yeah,
that's
four
it.
turnovers is crazy. I didn't even realize that, but they did play a pretty clean game offensively, which is really encouraging based off what we've seen from the start of the season. And also, I've been they've I forget, I think it was like maybe a month ago, Michigan State was ranked like around the 70s or 80s in Ken Palm for offensive efficiency. Right now, they're 24th. They're 24th in offense and defense. So definitely a good sign there to see that the offense has started to pick it up a little bit more and is finding their rhythm. As we knew it would happen, and it's just a good thing to see for sure.
As you guys know by now, we've partnered with BetMGM Sportsbook for this college basketball season. We're going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks and predictions throughout the college basketball season. And we are going to have special offers for you, the listeners, and the viewers on the Field of 68 each and every week during the season. If you haven't signed up with BetMGM yet, use the bonus code FIELD1500 and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager on BetMGM Sportsbook. Here's what you got to do. Download the BetMGM app. Sign up using the bonus code FIELD1500. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if that bet loses. Just make sure you use the bonus code FIELD1500 when you sign up. And remember, BetMGM is now available under one wallet in select states. As a New Jersey resident, this is super convenient for me when I have to go cover games in New York or Philly. When crossing state borders, just log into your existing account instead of having to create new accounts in each state that you go to. And most importantly, I got to let you know, we do have some fun stuff coming up for this college basketball season. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odds boosts, my personal favorite, parlay odds boosts. So download the BetMGM app today.
Um, so yeah, we'll move on. we're gonna keep it pretty short for this one. Final from last Sunday on the 14th, Michigan State took down Rutgers at home, 73 to 55. It was another win for the Spartans. Not the prettiest win, but definitely where we're gonna start for this one is a shout out to Steven Izzo. He scored his first career points with a late and one. Just great to see. Obviously, he's played now. This is his fifth season. He's gotten a good bit of playing time for like a true bench warmer. Um, no offense to Steven for calling him a bench warmer, but um, yeah, it was just a really awesome moment finally getting those first points and seeing Coach Izzo crying on the sidelines, getting a little teared up, and the whole team's reaction along with the student section. It was just amazing to see.
Yeah, I could say being in the ISO in the past 3 years, there's not too many more moments where the place and the student section just went, bonkers. And then just the Izzo touched on it, just seeing his team, the reaction from everyone when that went in, surround Izzo, was a special thing to see, and something none of them will ever forget.
Yeah, really awesome to see. The only thing I really took away from this game, there's a couple things. They shot 48% from three, the Spartans did, which I thought was a pretty good number to see. And they won the rebound battle 37 to 30. We talked about Clifford Amori in our Big Ten preview. We like him for Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. And we really just talked about his force in the interior for the Scarlet Knights. And so I just like to see that number, the Spartans winning the rebound battle. When I would give the advantage in terms of big men to Rutgers strongly in that game.
Yeah, that was a great thing to see. Like you said, I would say Sunday it was kind of the opposite of the Minnesota game. It was definitely a slow start to the game. Really couldn't get too much going. And then you get to that second half and you get a 19-0 run. That creates more than separation. But for me, what really stood out that game was Trey Holloman. And he keeps getting better and better, and it really showed that game. He hitting three threes, 6 assists. He was excellent getting to the lane and little dumps off to Cooper and Sissoko. It was also his career high in minutes, 27 minutes versus Rutgers. And tonight he actually had 22, I believe. So you could see he's really starting to really get into that rotation and be a perfect kind of six man for this team.
Yeah, and we talked about it a little bit on our, again, going back to our Big Ten preview. Part of that was because that was also the first show we did after the Jeremy Fears Jr. news, excuse me, um, where he would be out for the season due to being shot in the leg. But yeah, again, my pick for Big Ten Six Man of the Year, Trey Holloman. I think, yeah, he's just continuing to get better. And we've been talking about him all season being someone who could be a potential X factor for the Spartans throughout the season and kind of bring more energy off that bench. And he's such a strong defensive player, and seeing his offensive game come along the way it is, obviously, he's number one in the country in assist to turnover ratio at 5.7 was what it was going into the Minnesota game. And he was leading that category by over a full assist. Uh, so it's just really good to see Trey really step up and take the role, like you said, of being a true sixth man for the squad.
Yeah, and it's like having, a six starter and be able to have that guy be a guard who can handle it and do what he's doing. It's great, and his confidence is obviously at an all-time high. So that's definitely a huge positive for this team right now.
Yeah. And I think another thing looking out for, I noticed it a little bit tonight. Xavier Booker got into the game a little bit earlier, hoping that he can continue to come along this season and progress. Obviously, Izzo knows what he's seeing in practice, and he's gonna put Booker in more when he feels comfortable doing so. Um, but yeah, we're waiting on Book a little bit, and with Fears out, and then Norman redshirting at the start of the year. Booker and Carr, the only two freshmen we have from this class, left for the rest of the season. So it'll be exciting to see those two progress throughout the rest of the Big Ten play and see if they can find a way to contribute.
Yeah, and Carr, I think his minutes are still pretty, 10 tonight. I think he had something similar versus Rutgers. I have 9 here. So it's pretty consistent right there. But I feel like when he's in the game, he still finds a way to make a difference, whether it's on the glass or something on defense. And so that's just the kind of production you need from a freshman like that.
They called a goaltending on him tonight that I did not think was goaltending. I maybe
He
didn't
got up
have a
for it. I'm not
I th-
sure, it's
it
hard to see, but
yeah, he got
he
up for
got
it.
up for it.
Yeah. He's an athletic freak, but I'm good. I got nothing else for the Rutgers game. You good for Rutgers?
No, good for Rutgers, and just, obviously big game coming up this Sunday at 12 o'clock. It's, it's an interesting stat, but no road wins this year, not a single one. Can't have it one outside the state. So, these are games they're hard to get in the Big Ten, and we've seen that the whole Big Ten schedule is no one's hard to win on the road, but you got to find to get a couple, and it's a great opportunity here.
Yeah, with the next two on the road, going to Maryland Sunday, and then next Friday they will be in Madison to take on Wisconsin for the second time this season. So these next two games really going to show us a lot about this Michigan State team. If they can come away with a couple of road wins, it'll be a whole different look on the season. But if they can't find a way to win one on the road, again, it's going to be tough. But yeah, I'm all set if you are. Um, yeah, we're looking forward to watching the Spartans play Sunday against Maryland and against Wisconsin next week. 2 wins this week for the Spartans, trending up 3-4 now in the Big Ten play. So, yeah, we'll leave you guys with that. Thanks for listening. Have a good one.